The role of government in inclusive design is really to lead by example. So we need to show that it can be done and how it can be done. And as a designer, I often hear, if it's going to be inclusive or accessible, then it's going to look boring. And actually, I find the constraints and the challenge of meeting those constraints really rewarding. So being inclusive is actually about being much more creative about how you're solving those problems for everybody.
So the other important thing about inclusive design for government services is that we have a range of different people accessing the services on different devices, different ages, different education levels, different understandings and different requirements at any time of the day or night, whenever they remember.
And I think that's part of the challenge for the future of inclusive design is about thinking, how do we design for difference? How do we make sure that people can access things in the way they want, on the device they want, at the time they want? So it's not, what does the government want to say about this service? It's, what do people need to be able to get or access this service? So a really helpful concept when you're practicing inclusive design is the idea that there's actually a spectrum of different barriers that people might be facing. So you could have a permanent barrier, or you could actually just have a temporary barrier or a situational barrier. So that could be that you might be missing a limb, and so you're using one hand. It could be that you've sprained your wrist, and so you're using one hand, or it could be that you're holding a baby. So when we think about permanent, situational and temporary barriers, we realise that actually the spectrum of people is much bigger than you think who are impacted.
So the government already has put out a lot of guidance around how people can practically approach inclusive design. There's more information to come as we learn more about what people actually need, the people that are practitioners, what they need to do it.
Yeah, I think the government's putting some stuff out, but also they need people who care about this stuff. I think that once you know about some of the principles of inclusive design and you understand some of the barriers that you can put up through your design, then you can't not know that anymore. You can't stop thinking about that. So I think having that understanding and awareness of inclusive design and accessibility principles can really have a huge impact.